Meteorological summer has begun, and that with June means typically we're in the triple digits. Not this time. Let's talk about the active weather expected ahead in today's edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Good morning. It is Thursday, the 1st of June, 2023, the first day of meteorological spring. That's just a fancy way for us weather weenies to consider it summer, essentially. Did I say meteorological spring? Oh, good golly, sweet Molly. It's summer. It feels like summer, but not necessarily last summer. Obviously, it's not feeling like last summer. One, it's not 105 degrees for the last month already, with 4 more months ahead. And two, we've got rain, which we definitely didn't have last summer. But again, with meteorological summer, it just means for us, typically, we're heading into our typical summer weather patterns, typically being the key word. But hey, you know what? It is also the first day of the Atlantic hurricane season. And guess what? We have a bit of tropical mischief to talk about. Not really. It's really not going to do anything for us whatsoever here in the state of Texas. But the National Hurricane Center is watching Invest 91, an area of disturbed tropical mischief across the eastern Gulf of Mexico. They currently give it about a 20% chance of development over the next 2 days. I know it says 10%, but that's because I messed up. So about a 1 in 5 chance of becoming a tropical depression over the next couple of days as it meanders around the eastern Gulf of Mexico, bringing precipitation chances to portions of Florida. Probably not going to become a tropical low, but still increased precipitation chances for the Florida beaches, especially on the Gulf-facing side. And yes, the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season has begun, so we'll be keeping an eye out. They are predicting, they being all the hurricane climate folks, predicting a near average season. But as we always say, it doesn't matter how many tropical, stormy, mischievous things we have this year. It only takes one to become quite problematic, so we'll be watching with a wary eye. But with El Nino, perhaps we can get away without having a above average busy season this year because, well, if you go look at our YouTube collection, we've been a little busy the last few years, and yeah. So let's take a look at what we have going on this morning. Speaking of busy, we've had a lot of thunderstorms overnight across the Texas Panhandle, some flooding there. You can see those blue boxes. Those are flash flood warnings. A couple of these storms have been severe last evening into this morning with some hail, gusty winds, but otherwise now we're down to just some moderate to locally heavy rainfall across the Panhandle and more isolated activity already popping up in West Texas. It is entirely plausible we end up having a small break in the thunderstorms later this morning, but otherwise it's pretty much just going to be a wet day across the Panhandle, and then this afternoon, this evening, the potential for a few severe storms across West Texas, which brings us into our segue. Guess what? We're going to take a look at the severe weather outlook for today, this afternoon into tonight. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a small sliver of a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe storms across West Texas. Really what they're highlighting is where an outflow boundary is probably going to set up from this morning's thunderstorm activity. Exactly where that outflow boundary sets up will dictate where there is a relative maxima in severe weather potential this afternoon, with a couple of supercells possible along that outflow boundary. Otherwise, a level 1 risk for severe storms, isolated severe storms across the Panhandle, south into West Texas, West Central Texas, the Big Country, and Northwest Texas. Strongest storms today could have some hail, localized damaging wind gusts, and then where we have that outflow boundary set up, generally where they have that level 2 risk right now, but that could shift. We could perhaps see a tornado or two this afternoon where we have some enhanced low-level wind shear develop, but I do not expect us to be as busy as we were yesterday, nor as busy as we're going to be tomorrow. Let's take a look at the high-res rapid refresh model for this morning through this afternoon. As you can see, really, we might have a small break late this morning, but if we do, it's only going to last a few hours before we see more storms fire up across the Panhandle. And then you can see this model setting up a supercell right on that outflow boundary across portions of West Texas late this afternoon into early this evening. That would have the highest potential for severe weather. But most storms across the Panhandle today probably will be heavy rain producers, and that's going to be our main issue today. Heavy rain and potential for flooding across the Panhandle into parts of West Texas, with a secondary concern being the potential for a few severe storms with large hail, localized damaging winds, and perhaps a tornado. In terms of forecast rain chances today, here's it on a graphical form. You can see scattered to numerous showers and storms today into tonight across the Texas Panhandle, West Texas, lesser rain chances pretty quickly once you get down into the northern Permian Basin, northwest Texas, and then we could see isolated showers and thunderstorms across portions of south central Texas, the coastal bend, and southeast Texas, associated with just your typical pop-up thunderstorms. All right, let's take a look at the severe weather outlook for tomorrow, Friday. What we're going to have is a pretty powerful upper-level storm system. Pretty impressive for June, honestly, this far south. Typically, the jet stream's already kicked up into Canada or the northern plains, and it will be. But a El Nino-like symptom is a more active subtropical jet that stays a lot farther south. And that is going to have a pretty powerful little upper-level storm system kick on in tomorrow afternoon and evening. And that's going to bump up the wind shear totals. We're going to have an unstable air mass and plenty of moisture to work with, so the potential for scattered severe storms at least looking likely tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening, given the favorable dynamics, kinematics, and thermodynamics. That's just a fancy way of saying everything coming together is looking much more impressive tomorrow than today and even yesterday. The potential will exist for a busy afternoon and evening across the Texas Panhandle, West Texas, the Permian Basin, Southwest Texas, the Concho Valley, the Big Country, and the portions of Northwest Texas. Initial development likely by mid-afternoon will be supercellular in nature, with the potential for hail up to the size of or exceeding baseballs, localized damaging winds of 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, and a few tornadoes are looking probable tomorrow afternoon and evening. We may see some of this upgraded to a level 3 risk once we get a little more confidence in where the highest corridor of severe weather potential will materialize tomorrow into tomorrow night. But yes, after several years of a quiet West Texas season in late May and early June into mid-June, obviously this year we're having one. So buckle up. All right, let's pop on over to the high-res rapid refresh model for tomorrow just to get a graphical view of what may transpire. Now, what happens tomorrow is going to depend greatly on what we see today and tonight. Outflow boundary-wise, if we have any sort of differential heating corridors set up from cloud cover. So this is going to still change somewhat, and will be more detailed in tomorrow's Weather Roundup video on the specific setup. But you can see by early to mid-afternoon, probably 2 to 3 p.m. Central Time, we're going to see storms firing up pretty quickly across the Panhandle, West Texas, the Permian Basin, likely to become severe pretty quickly with large hail, damaging winds, the potential for a few tornadoes, especially across portions of West Texas. We could see those storms then grow upscale by around dinner time, maybe a little later, and those storms then in a squall line would move east, southeast into northwest Texas, the Big Country, the Concho Valley. And the threat for severe weather would decrease as storms moved further to the east late tomorrow night into early Saturday morning, but the potential for heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and localized flooding would continue. Obviously, if we see storms fire up like this model is showing tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have more flooding and heavy rain across the Panhandle and West Texas, in addition to the potential for severe storms. Let's pop on over for the graphical outlook on storm chances or precipitation chances tomorrow. You can see pretty easily where we're expecting the highest potential for scattered to numerous storms. Panhandle, West Texas, down to the Permian Basin. Lesser so tomorrow afternoon in the Concho Valley, Big Country, western North Texas. But as we transition into Friday night, you can see that line of storms expected to move further to the east-southeast, bringing higher chances for precipitation into northwest Texas, Texoma, western North Texas, the Concho Valley, the Big Country, even portions of the western hill country. And then those storms will likely begin to dissipate the closer they get to I-35, especially in the hill country. But they may make it into the Metroplex early Saturday morning. All right, let's take a look at the forecast rain totals over the next 3 days. This will be 7 a.m. this morning through 7 a.m. Sunday morning. We may see additional storms fire up during the afternoon hours Saturday across West Texas, and those could move east Saturday night. But we need to get through today and tomorrow before we can actually set up where we may have a few severe storms Saturday. But again, I know this looks like the same graphic over the last couple of days, but we're expecting another 1 to 3, maybe 4 inches of rain across the Texas Panhandle into West Texas, Northwest Texas, and the Big Country. Localized higher amounts over 6 inches are probable, but some folks are also likely to get hardly a thing. Flooding going to become a concern. Well, it is already a concern. The flooding threat's going to remain a primary concern over the next few days across the Texas Panhandle into West Texas, maybe even a bit of Northwest Texas. For example, I'm seeing road closure reports coming in from all over Amarillo right now as I'm recording this at about 6:30 a.m. Thursday morning. So as we get more storms today, tonight, and to Friday, those flooding issues are only going to become more and more numerous. Lighter rainfall totals across Northwest Texas, North Texas, Texoma, down into the Concho Valley and Hill Country, along with the Edwards Plateau. Rainfall amounts on average from 1/4 inch up to maybe 1 inch in spots. So this will be through 7 a.m. Sunday. And we may stay in somewhat of a active weather pattern as we get into next week, not necessarily the constant day-to-day West Texas storm events. Hopefully, please stop. But we're probably still going to be dealing with at least scattered storms from time to time. You can keep an eye on the sky with the free Texas Storm Chasers interactive weather radar available in the Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers in the Google Play and Apple App stores. And as always, you can visit us on the web, texasstormchasers.com, for the latest forecast, storm chasing videos, interactive weather radar, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Me marketing, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Sorry, I've been building switching out one of our primary computers all night. So under this polo, I'm actually covered in thermal paste because I didn't realize it already had thermal paste on it, a new CPU cooler. So yeah. It's been a night. My brain's fried. But we'll be keeping an eye on things here. We're going to have storm chasers out and about today. Meteorologist Jason Cooley will be chasing in West Texas, so we'll have his live stream up on the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube channel and in the app and website. Severe weather coverage if necessary from yours truly. And then we're going to have a lot of chasers out tomorrow on Friday, as it looks like it's going to be a busy day. So we'll be here keeping an eye on things and chatting with y'all. Next Texas Weather Roundup can be expected by 7 a.m. Friday. And as always, I already told you where you can keep an eye on things, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to go back to finish this computer now, and hopefully we'll have that live radar stream back up on the Texas Weather Center YouTube channel here by 8 or 9 a.m. Y'all have a good Thursday, and God bless.